Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Mike B here, coming at you from Mommy's basement, aka my little studio. Today I got something that's going to be pretty cool. Some of you might not know about it, some of you are probably very well versed in it. We're going to be talking about a piece of history from the Vietnam War that's actually pretty affordable and also quite interesting. So this right here is an original case of 500 what we call Chieu bags. I'm sure I'm butchering the actual pronunciation, but you'll see it on the bags. Basically, Chieu was a psychological warfare operation that the U.S. military started and the South Vietnamese military started in about 1966 to 67, and it went through the entire Vietnam War. But the goal of Chieu was to basically kind of lower enemy morale, enemy being the North Vietnamese Army, Viet Cong, specifically Viet Cong because they were the most prevalent in South Vietnam. And what it was this program to kind of get them to defect and go to South Vietnam and stop fighting. And actually, some of them apparently defected completely and flipped sides and started helping the South Vietnamese and U.S. and Allied forces. Kit Carson Scouts, that was an example if you want to Google that and check that out. But for the sake of this video, we're going to stay on topic with Chieu. Anyway, it was, I guess, a success, but just like with any other U.S. stat in Vietnam, it was heavily padded. Apparently by about 1967, they recorded an estimated like 75 to 100,000 defections. Well, they also accounted for a hell of a lot more bodies than they actually killed, because it was a stats war. It was a war that was, fought, and people were rewarded for having better stats. So we don't really know how accurate those numbers are. Obviously, some people did defect, because you're not going to have a number that high without at least, 100 people defecting to South Vietnam. Now, these bags, which we'll get into after I bust open the original sealed package from March of 1970 with a 69 dated contract number. I'll show you the bag itself. I'll explain to you what it was and how it worked, and then we'll conclude the video. So basically, this is how they come. They would come in original boxes like this. I think these are the heavy duty ones, kind of like the jungle fatigues come in. They're made to be kind of mildew resistant and whatever. But we'll pop this open. It's just sealed with tape, and get into the actual bag itself, the item. So very nicely cut. So I've actually never popped open one of these. I'm pretty cool. All right, so there's 2 rows, it looks like, right? No, packer's slip. Nice. So we got that. If you have any complaint to make regarding these goods, return this slip with full particulars. I think it's a little late for that now, but whatever. So this is from Matic Printing from Chicago. So yeah, that's pretty cool. 500, packer number 500, and there's 500 bags in here. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, so we'll set that to the side. So these bags are really interesting, okay? There's 500 of, we got some, yeah, those are still stuck together in the original manufacturing process. So this was a waterproof bag that was designed to hold one 20-round magazine. So I'll show you how it was actually used, or intended to be used, and then we'll kind of talk about what it says on there and everything. So the U.S. soldiers were kind of instructed to take these bags, and these bags served a couple purposes. One is to seal up the actual magazine with ammunition, 20-round magazine, from the elements. Jungles are extremely hot and humid, and they tend to start corroding stuff and make ammunition troublesome. So they came out with this bag that would seal like this, or however the individual wanted to seal. It's got a little metal strip right here, okay? And then when they used this, they put this in their ammo pouches, and then when they'd use this, they were told to, well, you could either grasp right here and just pull this off. I'm not going to destroy this bag, but you'd pull this off, and there's a little cut right there, the little perforation that would allow the top of this bag to come off. And then you'd grab your magazine and throw the bag on the ground. Load your magazine in, etc., etc. So that's how that was supposed to work. You saw, holds the magazine perfect. Now, what would happen was, so bam, that's gone. This little note, or this little part of the bag, would be laying on the ground, okay? And after a firefight or something, the South Vietnamese or the Viet Cong, or the people that were South Vietnamese, but, you know, working for the North, would find these, and written on it in Vietnamese, I'm going to give you the loose English translation. It's, returning Chieu will help you to again see your parents and family in a peaceful and democratic South Vietnam. So basically, they're supposed to see this, and it was kind of your free pass to like turn yourself into a South Vietnamese or otherwise allied nation. Americans did such, and they were supposed to take you prisoner and then put you into this program where they, you know, say, oh, they found this and they want to not fight anymore and either work for us or spend the rest of the time in a POW camp. Well, that worked quite a bit apparently because of the amount of numbers that were reported. You figure about a quarter to a third maybe of all reported numbers are actually legit. So we'll say out of 100,000, maybe 25,000 people defected. It wasn't just because of this either. This was a little thing that was thought up and actually implemented quite a bit. I've talked to a few Vietnam vets and they said they use these if they were going to, especially like on LERP stuff, and just if they were going to be going out for a little bit of a little period of time, if it was raining, etc., because it actually does seal and protect the magazine and your ammunition from the elements. So what happened was a lot of the rumored, the anecdotal evidence was that these weren't always honored by American forces, and I could see that. Somebody would, you know, hand this to them after a firefight, or, you know, after they had just been in a firefight and this person comes up to them, may have not even been involved in the firefight, but says, hey, I read this, I want to, you know, not fight anymore, and they would just kill them because they were frustrated or whatever. War sucks, people do really, really evil shit, and I can see that happening. I'm sure it wasn't the norm, but who knows, I wasn't there. But yeah, so that's what these little bags are for. These are widely available, and they're a really nice, cheap memento, I guess, from the Vietnam War. These obviously were not used, but there's quite a few of these floating around, but they're not going to be around forever. So it's, I mean, if you just want to use it for magazine storage or whatever, it's actually a really good little bag just for that. But yeah, it's also a really neat piece of history, just considering the actual program and what it entailed and the success rate, and, you know, just the psychological operations that were going on in the Vietnam War were pretty insane on both sides. So this was just a small part of the Chieu operation, I guess, in general, but it's tangible history and it's actually pretty neat, and it serves a functional purpose. So if you're a reenactor and stuff, these are really cool to have, and these are really cool to give to people at events. After you explain it to them, you can just, you know, like kids love that stuff when you can give them a piece of your kit at an event. That's something they don't ever forget, which is a really big part of reenacting, in my opinion. I think it's to make that experience for the public really meaningful and memorable. And this is a really easy, good way to do that. It's just getting a bunch of these and then having them to give out, and after you explain what they are. So yeah, that's about all I've got. If you didn't know anything about that, that's fine. I didn't know about those until I was a little bit older, and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. These are everywhere. What are they? And yeah, they're pretty damn common. I think they were used from about 67 through the end. But again, these are from 1970, and they've got stockpiles of these still available. They made a lot of stuff for the Vietnam War. I know not everybody used these, but I guess the ones who did, they drop them, and it might have actually worked, as according to the evidence. So, all right, that's about all I've got on that topic. Let me know if you got any questions. I'm not really an expert on the Chieu program, but I know about as much as I just told you in the video, and you know, you can Google it if you want to learn more about it and see if you can do some more research. But yeah, I just figured I'd show you what it looks like to pop open an original box of 500, because this is how they would come to the soldiers or Marines. And yeah, there you go. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Again, and let me know if you got any questions. I'll try to answer them, and otherwise Google's your friend for sure. But hope you enjoyed the video for sure, and if you learned something, that's great. That's why I do that. If you're a reenactor, like I said, pick up a few of these. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, everybody. If you consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, it helps me fund the channel with cool things like this and other props that I can kind of teach you about historical topics that may not otherwise be covered widely using tangible history. So I really appreciate my Patreon supporters, my current ones, past, present, you name it. You've allowed me to get some really cool things for the channel. A lot of cool things are coming up. But anyway, so consider supporting me on there. Link in the description for that. If not, that's totally fine. I just appreciate you watching. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool piece of history. Pretty inexpensive. They're basically everywhere. And go ahead and pick yourself up some. enjoy it. Enjoy the tangible history for not a lot of money. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.